Hello. So this video is on sine, cosine, tangent. We've done this for the last 3-4 weeks in class, so here's the video. All right, I taught it live because it's just better that way. Okay, so sine, cosine, tangent are the main functions used in trigonometry. Like you said, if you're watching this video, we've already done this for weeks in class, so this is just, you're kind of aware of this. Okay, so sine, cosine, and tangent are buttons on your calculator. So sine, cosine, tangent, this is just an abbreviation of it. Okay, theta, we'll get into this in the next video because it can be an X, it could be theta, it could be a capital letter for the angle, or it can be a question mark. Just depends. Okay. But we'll get into that. You guys have seen that already. Okay, so these are your trig ratios. Sine of theta or sine of x or sine of the angle is a side opposite to angle theta over hypotenuse. It's then abbreviated opposite over hypotenuse, or S sine, O opposite, H hypotenuse, SOH so. So this is the acronym, Sohcahtoa. Okay, cosine theta is equal to the side adjacent to angle theta over hypotenuse, adjacent over hypotenuse, and so it's CAH, C-A-H. Cosine starts with the letter C, adjacent, A, hypotenuse, H. So CAH is telling you how to set up your proportion. And then tangent of theta is the ratio side opposite to angle theta over side adjacent to angle theta. Okay, so opposite over adjacent. And so again, TOA, T-O-A, tangent T, opposite O, adjacent A. And so that's your acronym Sohcahtoa. It's going to stick with you. Once you know it, you never forget it. Okay, so we went over this for the first time. I walked you guys through it, and then I retaught it several times because students were either absent, and so they asked me to do it over again. Okay, so now here's the video. All right, so here's the worksheet. I'm just going to focus, right? So that's what you guys have. Okay, I'm just going to focus on the first example now, or the first problem. Okay, I have the same triangle written twice, and that is because you're going to see, because on these three trig functions, we're focused on angle M, and on this one, we're focused on N. And for the first example, you don't want two colored markers written on top of the same triangle. It's just visually, it'll get confusing. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. Afterwards, I'll go back and I'll show you a completed one of this, okay? But we're gonna complete it out. All right, here we go. Okay, so here's the first problem on the worksheet. All right, we have to label, and again, you're used to this because we've been doing weeks of Sohcahtoa through calculator. We've started it and ended it, so now this is just if you need to go back. Okay, the leg labels. The legs of a right triangle are labeled opposite and adjacent, OA. The hypotenuse is labeled the hypotenuse, H. Okay, so this shouldn't be new to you. You have to label correctly. You have to. Okay. All right, so look, you're always asked to find the 6 trigonometric ratios, not 9, because you're like, wait, there's O, there's M, and there's N. There's 3 angles, Miss Kenny, and if I do sine, cosine, tangent, sine, cosine, tangent, sine, cosine, tangent, like here, wouldn't there be 9? Why is there 6? 90 degrees is a very special angle in trigonometry. You'll understand that in IM3 with the unit circle. So we do not talk about the 90-degree angle. So if whatever that 90-degree angle is labeled, whether it's A or X or M, it doesn't matter. Here we have it as O. You don't look for it. You only focus on the 2 acute angles. And so M and N are the acute angles, correct? Okay, and so that's why it's 6. So we're going to find sine, cosine, and tangent of angle M, and sine, cosine, and tangent of angle N. That's it. Okay, so that's the triangle. Okay. Okay, so let's get into the very first problem. So remember, I'm doing this problem here. Okay, so the very first one, the upper left. All right, so I'm just focused on this side right here. And then afterwards, I'm going to do this side separately, and then I will show you this completed out. Okay? All right, here we go. You need a label OAH, opposite adjacent hypotenuse. Now, I have a lot of writing here because I'm the teacher, I'm supposed to. So, like I said, we're going to go back to the worksheet and then we'll keep it to student friendly. All right, you have to label OAH, but the way opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse are labeled is based on the angle that you're focused on. So you need to look what it's asking you for. What's the angle? M, M, M. Okay, we're just focused on here though. I know you can see this because I'm going to rewrite it again. All right, M, M, M. So it's like matchy-matchy. M, M, M. So find M. That's it. Okay, so now based off of angle M, label your opposite adjacent. Now, hypotenuse never changes. Your hypotenuse is the side opposite the 90 degrees. So this is H, non-negotiable. Okay. Okay, so now you're at a 50-50 shot between opposite and adjacent, and you're like, okay, they're both legs. How do I know? You know by the angle you're focused on. So it's M, M, M. Here's M. So what is the side or the leg opposite to angle M? Well, we draw arrows, or an arrow, one, and that is your opposite. And I'll draw something separate on the side really quick. And so then process of elimination, that's adjacent. Okay, so this is like your house, the house across the street, that's the house opposite your street. The house that sits next to yours is adjacent, or if you park your car in a parking lot, the car next to yours is adjacent, right? The person who sits next to you is adjacent, it's next to. So this leg is next to angle M. This leg is opposite to that angle, and this side, it's not a leg, it's a side. This is the hypotenuse, and that's always opposite the 90. So you have to get the labeling right. Okay, all right, really quick about the arrow, because some students did ask this in class. Okay, one kid asked, why do you always draw the arrow? Okay, so look, if I was to redo this, and this is M, right? And this is the 2, the 1, we're at 5. Okay, if you made O your 2, right? So this is wrong. This is wrong. You would have, if I told you, well, show me by arrow, draw an arrow from M and show me 2. You'd be like, oh, it's right there. That's a curve. It's not straight. See how that is not straight? This is beautifully straight. This now has a curve. You labeled wrong. Right? So if you would have come out a little bit more and curved it, it doesn't matter. There's a curve that's wrong. And so that's why we draw these arrows to do the visual check that you kept it nice and straight. Okay, so this is wrong. All right, so let's move that out of the way. Okay, so that's our label. That's it. Opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and get to the Sohcahtoa. All right, sine, cosine, tangent, right? Okay, so here we go. Sine of theta is, right, this is really wordy. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. That's why it's so, S-O-H. Sine is opposite, that's my numerator. Hypotenuse is my denominator. So I get opposite over hypotenuse. And so what's opposite? 1. And what's hypotenuse? Rad 5. That's it. Cosine theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent is 2, hypotenuse is rad 5. Tangent of theta is opposite over adjacent. So opposite over adjacent, 1 over 2. That's it. Those are your answers right here. Okay, so now just look at this, right? Because on your worksheet, you're going to see how I have Sohcahtoa, 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 right? I have it written and rewritten for you. So if you're looking at this triangle, let's just redo it. Sohcahtoa, S, sine of the angle is opposite over hypotenuse. This middle letter is your numerator. Your third letter is your denominator. So is sine OH, 1 over rad 5. Cosine C is AH, 2 rad 5. And then TOA, TOA, OA, 1 over 2. So Sohcahtoa tells you how to fill it in. Okay, so those are your answers. Okay, I'm going to do the second one because I talked about N, and then we're going to go to the worksheet and I'll show you my answers, okay? Okay, so look. So now the problem gets told, you get told to do it again, right? Because remember, here's the assignment. See, we just did M, and you should have those answers, but I'm going to show you what I have written. Now see how it's N, N, N. And so that's why I rewrote the triangle, because you do not want me labeling orange on top of this, right? Okay, so now let's look at N. So match it. N, 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 right? Not complicated, just focus on the angle. That's what it's telling you. Okay, so now you're going to label OAH based off of this. Okay, well, hypotenuse is non-negotiable. Hypotenuse is always a side opposite the 90 degrees. Okay, so now where's opposite adjacent? Again, straight arrow. There's my O. And so there's my A. And there's my OAH. And now I dive into Sohcahtoa. And so now what's sine of N? Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, opposite 2, rad 5. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, adjacent 1, rad 5, right? So the first letter is your trig with the degree, your trig function with the degree. Your second and third letter is your ratio. Second letter is the top number, third letter is the bottom number. Okay, and so tangent, TOA, OA, 2 over 1, and those are your answers. Okay, so now let me show you this first one, but with the answers. Wait, I just had it. I have so many papers here. Okay, so I'm going to move this out of the way. Is that okay? Okay, so now here is what it should look like. Okay, so we did the problem, so now I wrote it onto the worksheet. Okay, so 1 over rad 5, 2 over rad 5, 1 over 2, here's the N. Okay, so here's your visual check. Because here you're focused on M, 1 is your opposite, 2 is your adjacent. When you're focused on N, 2 is your opposite, 1 is adjacent. So how do these 6 trig functions match? When you get the first 3, you automatically have the other 3 because the way they are related is sine of N and cosine of N are the same, they're equal, and cosine of N and sine of N are the same. So they kind of switch. And then the tangents are flipped, they're reciprocal. Okay. Just students typically realize this. And then as you do more of them, you kind of like, you realize and you see. That's why no calculator, no decimals, leave it as it is because I want you to see this relationship. And that's it. Okay. All right. Have a good day. Bye, guys.